Welcome back to topic 38 for Algebra 1, multiplying polynomials. In this topic, we are going to specifically focus on multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. So in order to multiply a monomial by a polynomial, we need to focus on two different properties. First, the distributive property, and second, properties of exponents. Specifically focusing on the multiplication properties of exponents because we are multiplying polynomials. So for example, if we have something like a to the mth power times a to the nth power, since they have the same base of a, and again, we're just using variables here, this would be equivalent to a to the m plus n power. So when we have the same base and we're multiplying, we add the exponents. Now, as a reminder, sometimes we might not see an exponent, so in those cases, we're just going to write a 1. Let's move on to our first example. Here we have 4 times x plus y. So this problem is originally written in what is called factored form. So we're going to take this 4 and apply the distributive property now, such that we get 4 times x, or 4x, plus 4 times y, or 4y. Now this answer is written in what is called expanded form. The value of our expression does not change, however, it might look a little different. So remembering back to topic 36 where we learned about classifying polynomials, let's just for some added practice, let's classify our final answer here. So what is the highest degree that we see? Well, we know that this is really 4x to the first power and 4y to the first power. So the highest degree that we see overall is a degree of 1. So this expression is linear. Now, number of terms, we have 1, 2. If we have 2 terms, this is called a binomial. So we have a linear binomial here as our final answer. Moving on to example number 2, 3x times 4x plus 6. So again, this is originally written in what is called factored form. So we're going to take this 3x and multiply it to each term within that polynomial. So we'll get 3x times 4x plus 3x times 6. Now 3x times 4x, this is really 3x to the first and 4x to the first. So when I multiply my monomials together here, the 3x and the 4x, what I like to do is first focus on the coefficients. So 3 times 4 gets me 12, and then x to the first times x to the first gives me x squared. Since they have the same base of x, we add the exponents. 1 plus 1 gives us 2. The next term, we have 3x times 6, which gives us 18x. So this is our expanded form. Now let's classify our final answer here. The highest degree that we see is a 2. So this is a quadratic. And because there are only 2 terms, it's a binomial. Moving on to example number 3, we have 8x squared y squared times 3x to the fourth y cubed plus 10x cubed y to the fourth plus 11. So our original value, we have our monomial that we're multiplying, 8x squared y squared. And this problem, again, is written in factored form. So I know it may look a little bit overwhelming at first, but what we're still going to do is just distribute this 8x squared y squared to every single term in that polynomial. And I like to write everything out. So we'll get 8x squared y squared times 3x to the fourth y cubed plus, because we're dealing with addition here, 8x squared y squared times 10x cubed. Ooh, try that again. X cubed y to the fourth plus 8x squared y squared times 11. Now we can go about multiplying. So again, what we did in example number 2, I'm going to first multiply my coefficients just to break it down a little bit. 8 times 3 gives us 24, and x squared times x to the fourth. Same base of x, so we're going to add our exponents. X to the sixth. Y squared times y to the third, same base of y, add our exponents, 2 plus 3 gets us 5. And that's the first term. Moving along, 8 times 10 gives us 80. X squared times x cubed gives us x to the fifth. And y squared times y to the fourth gives us y to the sixth. Last term, 8 times 11 gives us 88. And now, since we are not multiplying any additional variables, we're just going to keep our x squared, y squared. So this is our final answer. And this again is in expanded form. So you can really see with this example how expanded it actually is. Let's classify our final answer. So the degree here, what is the highest degree that we see? Well, remember, we need to look at each individual term to determine the highest degree, and we might need to add the exponents. So 6 plus 5 gives us 11. 5 plus 6 gives us 11, and 2 plus 2 gives us 4. So the highest degree that we see is 11. So this is an 11th degree polynomial. Now, how many terms does this polynomial have? We have 1, 2, 3, so it's a trinomial. So an 11th degree trinomial. Now our fourth and final example is a word problem. A triangle has a base, 5x plus y, and height of 6y. What is the area of the triangle? First, what I like to do is just write down the formula. So we know the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And now I'm going to label my shape here, just so we can kind of identify what is the base, what is the height. So it says base is 5x plus y, and my height is 6y. It's a terrible height. Bad drawing, I should say. Now we're going to plug in. So I have a equals 1/2. I'm going to leave this 1/2 on the outside first and just kind of focus on what's going to be inside my bracket. Now my base is 5x plus y, and my height is 6y. Now what I'm going to do is kind of 2 rounds of distribution. First, I want to note that this 1/2 base times height, since we know that multiplication is commutative, we can flip the order. This is the same thing as 1/2 times height times base. So I can rewrite this entire part as 1/2 times 6y times 5x plus y. So that might be a little bit more comfortable to you. It's a little bit more familiar of what you're usually seeing. However, because we originally had 1/2 base times height, I'm just going to go about simplifying it here. So I'm going to distribute. It's kind of like I'm distributing backwards here. And again, leave the 1/2 on the outside just for now. Now 6y times 5x gives me 30xy. And 6y times y, now this is really 6y to the first and y to the first, gives me 6y squared. Again, same base, so I have to add the exponents. Now I can multiply in the 1/2. So a equals 1/2 times 30xy gives me 15xy. 1/2 times 6y squared gives me 3y squared. And that's my final answer. So the area of the triangle is 15xy plus 3y squared units squared. Now specifically, this example doesn't have a specific unit like centimeters, inches, meters, feet, yards, miles, etc., etc. So we're just going to use unit. And also, because we're dealing with the area is always square units. So that's why we have our units squared at the end. Now, before we finish, let's just classify our final answer. So we know that it's quadratic because we have a degree of 2. So we have the y squared, but we also have x to the first, y to the first. So that monomial there, 15xy, also has a degree of 2. Nevertheless, the highest degree is 2, so it's quadratic. And because we have 2 terms, this is a quadratic binomial. And that is it. Thank you for watching topic 38 for Algebra 1, multiplying polynomials, specifically multiplying a monomial times a polynomial.